Robert Brooks.
Okay. Today is
The
August 12th, 2011. Nina Gibans will be the primary interviewer, and Mark Sauer will facilitate. So, Nina, whenever
Did you hand me your sign sheet?
They're all here.
Oh, that's what all right, Robert, I've known you in one way, so we're gonna start with what I don't know about you. You are a Clevelander, or where have you come from, and what were you, I know what you've done in recent years, but before you lived in Shaker Towers, for instance, I know very little about, so tell me about yourself.
Well, I know I was born in Cleveland, and I lived close to University Circle during most of my childhood. I also lived on 105th and Chester for 8 years as an adult, and I've lived here for almost 11 years as an adult, so I feel I have an investment in University Circle.
I would say so. So the main thing that we're interested in knowing, well, there's a career focus as well, so tell me about your career.
I was a Cleveland public school teacher, and you don't remember me, but I remember you when we had some kind of a faculty connection with you at the Art Museum.
So I took your group around, you mean?
And no, it had to do with resources for the classroom, that sort of thing.
Workshops, and that would have been in the 60s, 70s.
Probably, yeah.
That time, right. So you taught in the classroom, what grade?
Grades 2 through 6. I was a French teacher.
Robert Lloydie was at the museum at that time in art.
Yes, he was.
Yes. So that's who you connected with as well. 2 through 6, do they do that today, do you think?
I have no idea.
Yes. When did you teach that?
I started in 1955 and I retired in 1983.
Okay. Life since then has been enormously interesting for you. So
Yes.
please tell us about it.
I have a very long list of volunteer experiences. The most outstanding were with St. Luke's Hospital and Health Hill Hospital with Project Learn, and now I'm with Citizens Academy and the Cleveland Orchestra.
Interesting. You certainly have been successful at Citizens Academy.
Really?
Really successful. So whatever your influence was or is, congratulations. It's really terrific.
I invite you to read my door down the hall, compositions of my students.
Wonderful. And the Cleveland Orchestra, you usher, what do you do?
I work, I do office work, whatever I'm told. My boss is a volunteer coordinator, not for ushers, but for other things.
Wonderful. Any archival work there?
No, not yet.
Okay. That's wonderful. So, the memories you have that are special about University Circle.
Let me count the ways. I was brought to University Circle as a very small child to visit the Art Museum, which we did at least once a year, to attend concerts at Severance Hall, also once a year, and I remember when I saw the gardens for the first time, I was smitten mostly by their symmetry, and I thought this was the most beautiful place in the world. It contrasted with the congested neighborhoods nearby that I lived in, and I still think it's the most beautiful place in the world.
Talk a little bit about the neighborhoods and where you grew up then.
Well, I lived in the Glenville area for a good bit of the time. I lived on Edmonton and Brackland, which are still there. I lived on North Boulevard, but at the slummy end. And I also used to go to the cultural gardens to play.
Anything more you want to say about life there and what schools you went to?
Well, I attended Hazeldell Elementary School, Patrick Henry Junior High, and Glenville High School. Also, I had scholarships in the summer to attend the demonstration school of foreign languages that was held on campus, and I was smitten also by the crenellated towers of the Floristone Mather building and the medieval architecture of Harkness Chapel.
You and I must have had the same French teacher in those special summer schools. Yes? Your teacher. Did you take French?
Yes.
And the name of the teacher, do you remember?
I had several. In fact, I taught there myself when I grew up. Teresa Lamarca, Letizia Casanova, and later Walter Dubreuil.
That was a very special place. Case Western Reserve. And so you've been related to the circle almost your whole life.
Yes, indeed.
Sure. Any other special memories?
Of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I lived on 105th and Chester, the building I lived in was occupied by members of the Cleveland Orchestra, and I got to meet them and their families. I used to subscribe, and I would walk to concerts. This was before the concrete steps were built, and there were logs dispersed on the hillside to keep us from breaking our necks. The orchestra members walked that way too.
The building at 105th and Chester, is it still there?
No.
Tell us about it.
That was the Harlow Park. On the corner was the Hotel Donebrook, which was a kind of a flop house. And there was a mansion that had evidently been owned by the Harlow family. And on this mansion, a large apartment building had been built, and a much smaller one on the property. And my living room windows and front porch looked out on the Banks Baldwin Publishing Company, and beyond that, the temple.
Baldwin was important, wasn't it?
Yes, and it's what's left of it is now at the Dunham Tavern.
Anything else you want to tell us?
It would help if I knew what you needed the most.
I only need your story. I don't need anything cooked up.
Well, I'm thinking that when I lived on the corner, there was still the 105th Street Market, and the well-to-do ladies in Cleveland Heights would phone in their orders and send the chauffeur with the limousine to pick up the groceries.
My mother used to go down there. My memories are of Zingali's, McDermott, the meat man. This is during the war.
Yes,
Had
rationing. Mm-hmm.
there was a Zingali's was a vegetable stand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the predecessor of Tassie's there that later went up to Shaker Square.
Perhaps. I also made use of the Greyhound station on 107th Street. I don't know how we'd managed since without it. And Burroughs, and the Tasty Shop, and was it Walgreens drugstore on the corner? My doctor's offices were down the street, and I belonged to the YMCA.
That's all around 105th.
105th Street. I still have my 25-mile medal for swimming. The 50-mile medal got lost. So I've never recovered from that.
Well, you made use of a lot of 105th Street, I can tell.
In
What about the theaters, the movie theaters?
oh yes, the movie theaters. There were so many of them. I think at least 5 in a 2-block area. And when I was little, that was a great destination, except one didn't always have the dime to go in.
Important. Food, other than the deli, the
Mhm.
tasty shop, did you eat any place special?
No, I didn't eat out often. Wasn't there a Gazelle restaurant that seemed very elegant, and I always wondered what it would be like to eat there, but I never did.
I don't remember eating there myself, but it was there, you're right. What about church? Any
No, I do recall that at the demonstration school, when we had recess, we used to go to the lawn at the Church of the Covenant. It was immense and beautifully kept, a wonderful place to play. And every time I look at the parking lot now, I miss it. But in those days, I think many people went to church on the streetcar, and they didn't need a parking lot.
What about the question of the houses at University Circle and how the neighborhood may have changed when they were purchased by the institutions? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, it was magical. There were lots of beautiful mansions all around the university area. And I recall that even the apartment buildings between Euclid and the Floristone Mather building were most elegant. I was I intended to be an architect back then, and I would have given my eye teeth to be able to get inside and see how the rooms were laid out. But they tore them down before I was able to do that, and they put a garage in their place.
Where specifically are you referring to?
Pardon?
Where specifically are you referring to? What garage?
The garage opposite Hessler Street.
Right there.
Ford, okay.
Yes, between the Commodore and the Mather building.
Did you participate in Hessler Street activities?
Well, when I was little, I wasn't aware of any. I don't know when they began. Uh, I don't believe I've ever been, but I applaud with both hands, and I hope that they never stop.
I think 1969, the Hessler Street Fair.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yes, okay.
When I had to go to the Hearing and Speech Center, I walked through Hessler and in through the backyards and to take the shortcut. And to my dismay, first they came and cut down a most remarkable mulberry tree. And then they put up the chain link fence, and you can't walk through there anymore. They're constructing a new building.
Mulberry trees have a history at University Circle because when it was mostly orchards during the Cozad period, mulberry trees were planted here because they did not grow elsewhere. That was why they came up here.
Very interesting. There were a lot of them back then, and even in the neighborhoods there were mulberry trees. I thought it was because of the way the branches droop down.
Right,
They sure produce a lot of mulberries.
right. Okay. Do you have some more questions?
No, I don't think I do.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you, Bob. Thanks.
Well, thank you.